Welcome back. I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560. The Answer. That's my co-host, Jim Leahy. We are joined by our technical producer, Debbie Schreiner.
Hello.
Hello.
You sound super excited right now. Let's get the energy up.
I agree because especially what we're about to talk about, it's like watching Ferris Bueller. Who's the teacher of Ferris Bueller?
Eugene Levy.
Ben Stein.
Oh.
Bueller.
Oh, you're right.
Bueller. I just used that the other day. But let's do this. Let's do the intro because it always pumps me up.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
So the other day I was watching I saw Perry Mason on MeTV, so I had to watch a little bit of it just to remind me of the blog segment.
It's on twice a day.
I did want to mention, though, that on Tuesday, at least, I wanted to mention on Tuesday, May 2nd, my son Jake took his seat on the Board of Education. And
congratulations.
Yeah, so congratulations to Jake. Now, last week we talked about, what did we talk about last week, Jim? Do you remember? Dormant mortgages.
Yes.
Yes, he says.
I remember.
Yes. So we talk about dormant mortgages. And what that is what a lot of people nowadays have a second mortgage on their home that they haven't paid.
Here's to you, dormant mortgage expert.
A lot of people have a second mortgage on their home that they haven't paid in many, many years. And so they think, well, then it's just gone, right? Isn't it just gone?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this goes back to a 1099-C. Sometimes, so they say, well,
so it's a cancellation
if
of debt.
I got a cancellation of debt, 1099, does that mean they could never come after me again? And I think I've told people this before on the show.
Depends.
The answer is, I don't know, because some courts say you can and some courts say they can't. There was a very good decision in a bankruptcy court that said, no, if you get a 1099-C, you've just canceled the debt, so you can't come after them anymore. But some courts say, no, that's just it's just an accounting procedure, and so they still can't come after you. But what if they didn't write it off yet, or
yes,
what happens with that dormant? So we talked a little bit about that last week, and what I wanted to go on this week about now is the statute of limitations and things like that.
Yes.
Defense. Is there if I haven't paid in 8 years, let's say it's over 10 years and I haven't paid, can I use a defense of a statute of limitations? Because now remember this: no matter what you're doing, and someone sues you, even if it's a credit card debt. Because what people don't understand, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Let me talk a little bit about this first. Credit card debt some couple of years ago kind of changed in Illinois because it used to be considered a written contract, and written contract statute of limitations in Illinois is 10 years. So they had 10 years to sue me. Well, in Chicago district, the first district in Chicago, the appeals court came back and said, "Oh no, it's not a written contract. It's an agreement. Every time you use that card, it's a new agreement. So it's not a written agreement. And so you don't have 10 years to sue them. You only have 5 years from the last time they charged something.
Oh,
and it made a huge difference to people." Because, if they started suing you in 7 years or 8 years, now you had a defense. But here's the key to any defense of affirmative. You have to assert it right away. So you can't go to court and then later say, "Oh, by the way, this was past the statute of limitations." No, you have to use your that defense immediately upon. So you always talk to an attorney before you go to court. Even if you're going to go to court yourself, you should have an attorney look at it and see if you have any defenses. You might not know that. And so you could hire a lawyer just to look in to see if you have a defense. If you don't have a defense, then maybe you don't want to hire a lawyer to help you. But there are certain things that a lawyer can do, even in a credit card situation. But now let's go back to the second mortgage that's dormant you haven't paid on in a lot of years. You say, well, man, it's been more than 10 years since I made a payment. So isn't that now, the statute of limitations is now? It's made. The answer is probably not. Maybe, but maybe not. Because as a mortgage, a new mortgage payment comes due every month. And so it's not from the last time you made a payment. It's from the last when it came due. Okay, so if I had a home equity loan that came due, because a lot of the times the home equity loans are only 5 years, they have a 5-year balloon payment. So that payment came due, and then 10 years later, that's when it would disappear in a statute of limitations. Again, they could still sue you, but you have to go to court and use that affirmative defense and make sure that you use it right away in order to
make sure you're writing
yourself.
this down, ladies and gentlemen. This is great information to have.
Okay, so if it hasn't ballooned and it hasn't come due, well, then they still have 10 years from the date that it comes due, and that might be that's probably why it's not past the statute of limitations now. And that's an important distinction. So a lot of people who now that they have this dormant mortgages in 2008, 2009, they might have gone into foreclosure. They got a modification with their first mortgage, and the second mortgage was underwater, so they just didn't take any action. And so now the second mortgage has been underwater for a long time, and nobody's taken the second mortgage, kind of ignored it, and you just figured, well, it's been a long time. I guess they can't come after me. The answer is they still can come after you, and they can start.
You just have to have the right attorney to make sure that they defend you properly.
Well, exactly, because they can even bring a foreclosure case against you even at this late date. So what happens now, the value of the property is going up now, and so there's going to be room in the equity that you might have in your home that's above and beyond the first mortgage, because as you're paying the first mortgage, it's going down little by little, and the price of the value of the property is going up little by little. And so you're getting that spread that's would be your equity, but for the second mortgage. And so as that value starts getting bigger and bigger, it's more likely that second mortgage is not going to remain dormant, and they're going to start filing action against you and to foreclose on your home. And so what I would suggest, first, you can wait till somebody does something, or you could approach them, the second mortgage company, and try to get a settlement before they take any action. And you're probably better off to do something like that. So maybe you owe $50,000, and now it's probably a lot higher because there's a lot of interest has been accumulating. So even though you have this dormant mortgage,
$50,000. Who do you think you kidnapped? Chelsea Clinton?
But that's what happens on these things, right? And then as the time goes by, that interest builds and builds and builds, and now you're going to owe a lot more money. And so you can approach them now when it's dormant and nobody's coming after you, and that mortgage company may be looking to get rid of it and accept a lot less than what the face value of that mortgage is. The other thing they can do, right, is they can go ahead and file a case against you, a foreclosure case, and try to foreclose on your home, and then force you into some sort of. Now, if they do that, that's going to affect your credit score, and it's going to affect your ability to get money out of that equity to pay them. Okay, so sometimes that's why you want to get in front of this, because maybe your credit's back to normal and you're doing well, and you're not taking a hit on that because it's been such a long time. It's not on your credit report anymore that you owe on the second mortgage, and your credit score starts growing. So now's the time to use a good credit score to try to get rid of that second mortgage. Don't think it's just disappeared. If you're still underwater, well, then there's things you can do. That would be the time too, because they can't come after you because it's underwater, and so they don't want to. They can't really foreclose because there's nothing for them to come after you.
I think the most important thing to take away from this, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that everybody gets into some sort of trouble. Don't think that you're just you're out of the mix. You know, it happens to everybody. There's some sort of everybody gets behind in something. Don't feel bad. Just take responsibility and
these things don't disappear. They don't disappear by themselves. As the IRS debt doesn't go away by itself. You may not have heard from the IRS, but it ain't going away.
No,
it's coming after you.
Try to take care of it.
That's right. Same thing with the second mortgage. You may not have heard from them for a while, but they're coming after you.
Still there.
As soon as they get a chance, they're coming after you.
Like our commercial says, Attorney Leahy sells a good night's sleep.
Very good, Jim. I agree with that.
That is true.
So anyway, if you have any question I'll be happy to answer your question if you call me at 312-664-6649.
Or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. That's where you can get information from prior shows. You can get the blog report. It's a great little tool to help get you on path to financial success. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's your hub to fight the IRS. Now, stay tuned because after the commercial break, more IRS radio hours coming your way here on AM 560. The Answer.